The fire department in Loma Linda unveiled its memorial for 9/11 with hundreds of residents on Tuesday, September 11th, during a ceremony on the day marking the 11th anniversary of the tragic day in American history. The fire department acquired a beam that was torn from the Twin Towers to display in a public place and create a memorial remembering the victims of 9/11. During the event, the department invited the workers who helped put the memorial together so the workers could share their thoughts on the experience of placing the beam on Loma Linda Drive in front of the fire station.
Working here, let me tell you, working on the benches that you see here, the plats and everything, it was an honor. But let me tell you, the best thing of all was that beam. That beam was, when it arrived on the job site, and I had to do all my work around it, touching it, it just, something inside me just, it was good to be here.
Scott TOPPO, fire captain of the Loma Linda Fire Department, said 9/11 was a defining moment in life.
September 11, 2001, my wife and I were staying with friends. I recall a slight rap on the door and the sound of my wife's voice in the early morning. Then being aware of her leaving the room and my eventual drop back into bliss. Only minutes later, to be awakened in a daze. Scott, you need to wake up. A plane has hit the World Trade Center. My wife later told me when she was coming to wake me up that morning, admittedly not knowing or understanding the gravity of the situation, she knew that whatever she said would stay with me for the rest of our lives. There, shortly before 6 a.m., was a rush of thoughts, of sights, and of feelings. That morning was the beginning of another defining moment in life, but not just for me.
Dave LESH, Division Chief of Riverside City Fire, said it took him several years to share his emotions and experience of being one of the rescuers who was at ground zero in the following days after the attacks on 9/11.
When I first came back, the emotions were pretty raw. It was pretty hard to talk about what I went through. You know, when I first got home, I spent a lot of time. My wife was a great supporter for me. Spent a lot of time crying on her shoulders, just getting all the emotions out and stuff. But it was several years before I could really talk openly about the emotions of what I felt back there. Memorials are for a reason, so people remember. And the events of 9/11 is something that the future generations need to make sure they remember and don't forget.
I am Javier Cabrera for the Press Enterprise and PE.com.